You are listening to All Burgundy and Go Everything with the Urban Sports Scene on Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. Hopewell, Virginia. Wole, Ray, and Glen are your hosts. What's good, fellas?
Everything's wonderful, man. Just coming off this WrestleMania high. I know it ain't football, but I'm just coming down a little bit.
Ray Cheese, how you doing, my man?
We got to have something to talk about because it's not a whole lot of Commanders news. The draft is getting closer, though. Glen is coming. So think about it. Think about all the stuff that's happening right now. Ron's comments about, it's time to ascend. We're going to have content very soon, my dude. WrestleMania is not going to be on. It's going to be a distant memory once that happens.
Mania, man. Mania is dope, man. We can talk about that later. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about having like a Impact Wrestling podcast. I've been thinking that in my head. I'm trying to my mind is scoped out everywhere. I'm trying to have content everywhere. But subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. Just search All Burn and Go Everything with the Urban Sports Scene. Also tweet us at Urban Sports Scene and hit us up on IG at Urban Sports Scene and at 1340 AM Fox Sports, like our Urban Sports Scene and Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM Hopewell, Virginia Facebook page as well. Make sure you subscribe to Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM, 1340 AM Hopewell, Virginia, and the Urban Sports Scene YouTube channel too. Anyway, it's time for the pregame. Here's what we have on tap. We'll talk about Cole Holcomb possibly being an option at middle linebacker. All right, GM Martin Mayhew came out and said that Cole Holcomb could play middle linebacker. Is this possible? Glenn?
I think it's possible, man. Holcomb didn't have a bad season this year as for the Washington Commanders. I think he has ability. He's smart. He's always around the football. And this guy that can come downhill a little bit. I think Cole Holcomb can play middle linebacker in this league. I think he can play for the Washington Commanders. I'm about to say Washington football team. The Washington Commanders. Since the Washington Commanders missed out on the deal to get Bobby Wagner, they do need a middle linebacker. And why not keep one that's in your system already who can convert to that middle linebacker spot? You already got rid of Landon Collins. You got rid of someone, so therefore you can keep Cole Holcomb there and he can be that guy in the middle for the Washington Commanders. I really think so. If you'd have brought a Bobby Wagner in, if he's willing to spend that money that Bobby Wagner got, you know what I'm saying? And then I would say, you know what, you can get rid of Cole Holcomb, but you don't have anybody else. So Cole Holcomb is there. And darn sure don't draft any middle linebacker high in the draft when you got other places to fill. Keep Cole Holcomb and he can be the linebacker for Washington Commanders.
Right?
Okay, so from a traditional perspective, when you look at some of the past middle linebackers, it's not a position I feel like that has always been a strong suit in the Washington Commanders football team / Redskins and football team organization, whatever you want to call them. But at this point, it doesn't matter to me who's going to be at that position. It really matters as to how the defensive coordinator, Jack Del Rio, is going to utilize the pieces that he has on defense, including the middle linebacker, which is so important. So right now, the jury is still out as to whether Jack has been a good fit here in Washington, because at times the defense looks good. During that 4-game win streak, the defense looked like an improved defense. However, he's faced criticism from some fans who said both coordinators need to go. We're not going to go to the other coordinator today, but I don't know what you guys think. I just feel like it doesn't matter really at this point who's there. It's just a matter of how they're being coached, because I like Jamin, of course, and I feel like he wasn't used correctly in his rookie season. And that comes back to coaching. So Cole Holcomb, good player, of course. I agree with what Glenn said, but what is Jack going to do with the pieces that he has, including Cole
Holcomb? I think Cole Holcomb is a good player. I mean, he was a tackling machine in North Carolina last season with the Washington Commanders. At that time, Washington football team. He had 142 tackles, 83 solo tackles. So he's fine to knack of making, being around the football in terms of, tackling. And also he had 2 picks. He had a pick 6 against the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott. Those are things that you kind of, when you think of a middle linebacker, you're kind of things that stick out, right? Like a middle linebacker typically is decent in space and kind of can get interceptions. Like we think of Luke Kuechly, Aaron Brooks. What's Brooks from Brooks, who played for Tampa Bay? Derek Brooks, who played for Tampa Bay. So we're thinking about middle linebackers like that, who typically can kind of make all kinds of plays, in terms of passing game and, tackling. So when you look at him, I think it's definitely a position I think he could play. But it goes back to what you all are talking about in coaching, and I'll use this as an example. If you had a coach like, I'm gonna use Greg Williams as an example. Greg Williams, when he came to DC, no one thought Antonio Pierce was anything. He was a special teamer. Antonio Pierce played outside. He was an outside linebacker at that. He put him inside, put him in middle linebacker, and he became a top of the line middle linebacker. Went to the Giants and became a Pro Bowler. So it's up to, like what Ray says, Jack Del Rio. What is he gonna put Cole Holcomb, if he does play middle linebacker, to be in positions to be successful? I do think he does have certain skill sets that when you look at it and say, you know what, he could probably play middle linebacker. He has the speed. He's physical. He's just a guy that he improves every season, and it seems like he knows the scheme. But again, do you trust coaching? For the coaches to have him in the same position, because you saw what happened with Jameis, and Cole Holcomb will be playing a new position in the NFL.
Yeah, one thing I said, his numbers did increase. You figure from his first year, second year, 2020, he only played 11 games compared to the 16 games. And numbers dropped a little bit, but those solo tackles are what stick out for me. The guy is, 74 in 2020, even playing 11 games, 105 his rookie season, you want to call it that, and then 142 total last year. So he has been around the football, and that's what you ask your middle linebacker to be. You ask your middle linebacker to be around the football. And with what's coming back to the Washington Commanders, when you talk about Chase Young, when you talk about Montez Sweat, when you talk about Jared, when you talk about Allen, all those guys there, you're asking your defensive line and that defensive set to take double teams, right? To take double teams and to keep your linebacker free. So you're asking Cole Holcomb to be the workhorse just by design of the defense. You're asking him to make tackles. He has stepped up. He's proven that. He's never got denied as a Pro Bowler, but his numbers are up there. And I think, with the defensive design, he can be that guy. With the defensive lineman that they have, and Cole Holcomb being a short tackler, I think he can survive in this Washington football. He's not a big name. He's not flashy, right? He's not flashy. No one's coming to see Cole Holcomb. No one's buying Cole Holcomb jerseys. But guess what? He's the workhorse. All right. He's not we have Ken Harvey, right?
Yeah, Ken Harvey out. Like a workhorse type of. Oh, Leonard Fletcher.
Leonard Fletcher. He's not that flashy name that everyone's gonna know, but he's the guy who can make tackles when you need a tackle made.
And Ray, this is a question for you. Do you think the Washington Commanders fan base would accept a Cole Holcomb movement to middle linebacker, knowing that there were other middle linebackers out there that could have helped this football team and probably could have maybe put this, like a Bobby Wagner, maybe put this defense at a different level?
Wow, that's a good question. I think initially no, to be honest, because of course this is Ron's third season. He's gone 7-9, 7-10, and the defense did not live up to the billing last year. So I think people wanted sweeping changes across the board, and putting Holcomb at middle linebacker is not a sweeping change. However, if he produces, of course they will accept him, and that's what it's all about, production. But right now, I feel as though no, it's not going to be a move that's accepted amongst the general fan base. Those of us who know football, like Glen knows football, and Glen's pointing out facts about Cole Holcomb and what he brings to the table. He's pointing out numbers. What you're saying, Glen? Documentation, comments, whatever.
Yeah, documentation beats your conversation.
Exactly. So you point out facts, you point out stats, and those of us who actually know the game, we can respect the move. But again, the general fan base that wants to see the sexy names and they want to see wins, they're going to say, no, why are you putting this man? We've already seen what he can do. We want to see some new faces coming in. We want to see some bigger names come in. So I'm going to say no for now.
No, I mean, it's wild. I'm with you, Ray. I do think the fan base won't accept it. I mean, even though I think Holcomb is a popular player. I think Cole Holcomb in Washington is a popular player. I think people respect and know, like Glenn said, is getting better every year, and he produces for this team. Was the best linebacker on the team last season. But a lot of people want this team to take it to the next level, next step. So when you see the Rams, get a Bobby Wagner, even though they just won a Super Bowl, and they just, you know what, we're going to re-up. We're getting Bobby Wagner, arguably the best middle linebacker in football. We're going to get him, knowing that this team is in year 3, and Coach Rivera is in a position where he's talking about he needs to win. This year 3, he wants to win now. You have an opportunity. There's some guys out there in a position of weakness that you could have picked up on the defensive side of football at middle linebacker, right? Because linebacker, everybody was saying like safety linebacker. They brought back McCain, fine, whatever. I had no issue with Bobby McCain, but people said middle linebacker is an issue. You know what I'm saying? They had Damon Davis didn't work. Now they want him. Rivera said he's going to play outside. We want him outside. We don't want him at middle. So now you have options of having Jamin Davis and Holcomb on the outside, or Holcomb on the inside, Jamin Davis on the outside. Now you have to draft either have to draft a linebacker, or you have to pick up a linebacker in free agency. So I think the fans will, if Holcomb is moved to middle linebacker, then they have to bring in a person at outside linebacker that everybody's in love with, and in terms of the draft or in free agency. Glenn?
Yeah, they got to do that, man. But who's that guy? You know what I'm saying? Who's out there that you can bring in? You don't want to put a rookie in that situation, right? You don't want to bring a rookie in that situation with those guys. Now with the 4 up front, right, can do what they do. You can hide the rookie a little bit, right? You could hide the rookie a little bit. He's not going to play as much because you on your 3rd and 4th down packages, you bring somebody else in for him. You work him in. We hope Jamin Davis can have a better second year than a first year, that there is progression that's there. He didn't do bad, but we saw some glimpses last year of Jamin Davis that what he can do. The question is, how can this coaching staff develop him in the off season to be better his second year, right? And he had a lot of playing time last year. Think about it. He had a lot of, when people got hurt, COVID situation, Jamin Davis had a lot of playing time. And now the Washington Commanders are at full strength, with, like I said, Montez Sweat coming back, with Chase Young being better, with Jared Allen, with all those guys up front and everybody they have and getting better, then the linebacking core can be sheltered or can be a little bit younger if the guys up front can do their job.
I agree with that. I do think the defensive line dominates. That was the ideal purpose. I mean, the ideal thought was the front 7, the front 4 would take so much pressure off the linebacking core. But it didn't really work. It didn't really happen. You know what I mean? So now you just hope that everybody ups their game. You hope that Chase Young ups his game. You hope that Jonathan Allen he did up his game. I'm not going to knock him. Jonathan Allen had a Pro Bowl year. You hope that Deron Payne takes his game to the next level. You hope all these individuals ball out to a point where your linebacking core doesn't feel like they have to, take it all in. Like they can actually work easy. Ray Lewis said it. You know what I mean? The reason why he was so great was because of Adams and Saragusa. You know what I mean? Then they got him Nada. You know what I mean? Like you gotta have dudes who push it to keep those linebackers clean, where they can kind of shoot those gaps and make these hits on the other side of the football field. So, I'm with you, Glenn. I think that if those other guys take the pressure off these individuals, then they're allowed the linebackers who are younger to kind of do their thing, right? Use your physicality, use your skill set, rather than worried about, I gotta make sure I check this dude, this, that, and the other, get off this block, or try to overthink it. They can just play football rather than overthink football.
Yeah, I mean that's the key, right? If you got 4 down linemen up front, you only got 5 offensive linemen. If 2 of those guys are legit, there's nobody to block the linebacker, right? You're telling your offensive guard, whatever case maybe you get to the linebacker. Offensive linemen want to get to the second level. If they can't get to the second level, there's nobody there for the linebacker to make it room, make play. So you have to be able, a Jonathan Allen, even a Deron Payne when he comes in, those guys have to be dominant enough that the center and the guard have to double team them. If they double team them, now you just freed up a backer. So it has to be one of those plays that somebody has to get doubled on the line, and you can't double everybody, right? Because if the offensive line double everybody, somebody's missing assignment, and then you have backers who are free. So those guys are important to the success of any linebacker you put back there. If you had put Bobby Wagner back there, those front 4 don't do their job, the linebackers can't do their job.
See, this is great. I mean, we're about to end this show, and I haven't mentioned any coordinator. This has been a great show. I deserve credit for this. I do. I did not mention this individual's name at all. Hey, subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. Search all Burgundy and Gold, everything with the Urban Sports Scene. Also tweet us at Urban Sports Scene and hit us up on IG at Urban Sports Scene and at 1340 AM Fox Sports, like our Urban Sports Scene and Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM Facebook pages. Make sure you subscribe to the Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM Hopewell, Virginia, and Urban Sports and YouTube channels as well. Hey, this has been a dope ass show. You've been listening to All Burgundy and Gold, everything with the Urban Sports Scene on Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM Hopewell, Virginia, for ages. You dig? Deuces. A mega. Lead us out, big homie.